Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Today we're doing another install on the FZ09, but this is going to apply to virtually every bike out there. This is the new STS brake module kit. This is, if you saw my turn signal module install, going to be similar but nowhere near as complicated. The actual device is very similar looking. It uses the same case. And note, they did see my video for the previous module install, and the next version of these coming out will use smaller and plastic module housings, so that's a very good thing. This just uses 3 wires and they're just taps. We have no cutting or splicing to do, no bullet connectors or crimping. We just have 3 pinch connectors to put onto our stock wiring, and that's it. Now, of course, you can do custom wiring. You could rewire this and use Positaps, which I do think are better in the long run. What I'm probably going to do is come back through here, not only with this install, but the turn signal, and do custom permanent wiring and actually repin and make some custom modules. And if I do that, of course, I'll show you the videos to do that as well. But for this, all we need to do is find our brake light wires. On the FZ09, you simply pop the seat and it's right here. We have our line coming out from the actual bulb assembly, comes under the bracket here, and this white quick connector is where it attaches to. So if you wanted to, you could separate both ends and work on the wire. It all depends on where you want to tap in. I'm probably going to do that just so I can get a little bit more working room. Now, the only important parts to this install is where you're going to mount the device, because it does need to be level. Mounting the box is straightforward. The arrow has to face forward on the bike, and they do want this box level to the ground because it is detecting inertia. So we want to avoid tilting it or putting it off axis. Now, there isn't too much room here on the FZ09. The easiest spot is obviously going to be right back here in the storage box. Plenty of room. I think that is going to be a perfect mounting position, and all that's going to do is affect how I have to store what I put back here. I've got my utility multi-tool, I've got my headlamp, zip ties, tire plugs, and first aid kit and paperwork. And I think I can still squish all of that in there, no problem. And then I have a little towel that goes over top, and my bag straps lay on top. I think this is going to fit just fine. Now, you do need to mount it securely. This tray is rigid enough where I could probably use 3M double-sided tape and just put it right here. I think that's going to be fine. Alternatively, you could zip tie. There are some holes down here on this other side. You can't quite see them, but you could drill holes if you wanted to put zip ties, but I don't really think there's going to be any need for that. 3M tape holds really well. It's used for putting on body panels on some cars. So the only thing you have to worry about in the actual mounting of this is if you want it right side up or upside down. And what that does is select its main feature, really its only feature, and that's if you want the brake light to actuate solid, like you're pulling the brake lever or hitting the foot lever, or if you want it to pulsate or flash. I don't know the duration of that, how fast it is. Well, I'll have to test it and see. And you do that by mounting it right side up for solid or upside down for flashing. I really prefer flashing for the inertia braking. It just gives people behind an idea that you're not fully braking, but you're engine braking. It's just a little differentiation. That's how I have my other bike set up, and I absolutely love it. That's purely personal preference. So there's plenty of room to mount. There aren't as many cables running through this lead as the turn signal, so it's much easier to bend this around and fit it wherever you need. No issues there. So now we just have to figure out which wire is which. We have power, ground, and the actual light actuation signal. And we need to tap in, and then of course just make sure that it's weatherproofed to a degree. This area does not get wet, it's not exposed to the elements, but you still want to add a little bit of protection. And then the only other thing they give you in the box are the actual taps and zip ties and a sticker. That's all there is to the whole kit. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the wire from the connector here. That'll just give me enough slack. I don't need to disassemble this to get this off. I'm going to tap in right in here where there's plenty of room, but I want some room to work. So it's going to be impossible to show you here on camera until I get it off. But if you look on the side, there's a little tab, and you can use a little screwdriver, push down on the tab quite firmly. There's only one. You can't miss it. It's on the rear of the connector, push down on it firmly. It'll kind of pop a little bit, and then pull back on this, and this part of the wire will come out. The other end is actually attached to the bottom tray, so it's not going to go anywhere. It's popped in. You'd have to release it from the bottom. So all we have to do is slide it out like that. And here's our connector, and you can see the tab right here. This is all I was doing, is pushing this down and pulling it back. Bada bing, bada boom. So now we got plenty of room here. I'm just gonna cut a little of this back right in the middle and put our taps in. And then we can just slide this back into position, take a little finagling to snap that back into place, and we'll be good to go. And put on your connectors. Doesn't matter which goes where. Now they do give you a handy dandy color chart. If in doubt, go ahead and test your wiring, but Yamaha's are standard, blue, yellow, and black, over to the corresponding wires of the 3 units. Now figure out where you want to route things. This is going to go back under the seat bracket. I'm going to put this back in the same position, so I'm just going to feed these through here. Now on this bike you want to be careful not to put anything directly under this hole, because that's where part of the seat post goes. Not really an issue, there's plenty of room. A little tough getting things in here if you got fat fingers like me. And there we go. So we just connect these up, yellow to yellow. The dual signal and power goes to blue, and green goes to ground. Now I'm going to go ahead and fit everything back into position. Plug this back in, make sure these aren't snagging on anything, and that'll allow me to figure out what I can do with all this extra pigtail room. If I do custom install here, I'm definitely going to be shortening both the pigtails so I don't have all the extra slack. So I've got everything connected, routed, just kind of tucked the pigtail up under there. Unit sitting here with a little bit of slack. Got everything taped up. Nothing's really pinched, nothing's tight. So now I'm just going to make sure that the seat goes on without any interference. Shouldn't be any issue. There's a little pocket for the seat right here, so it shouldn't be hitting on anything. And we're good. So now I can mount the box. Now, like I said, make sure that you have this pointing the way you want. Mine is going to go upside down, and I'm going to mount it right here, just making sure it's as level as possible to the ground, and that's absolutely perfect. Got some heavy-duty 3M red double-sided tape. Works great for mounting GoPro pads too. Same stuff that you get with the actual GoPro pads. So that's going to go on the side here, and it is removable. It's not permanent, so you don't have to worry about that, putting it on anything. Give it a good press. Peel off this side. Of course, if you have any kind of dirt, give the other surface a little wipe with alcohol. Man, this is always so hard. I have no fingernails. And get it into position, and then just hold it there for a good 20-30 seconds. Make sure it's right. Okay, now I need to just put my stuff back in my box. Quick function check just to make sure that everything still works. Okay, let's take it on the road and see how it does.